The introduction should be something like you saying something like,
Welcome to the coach's office. All right. How you doing? Welcome back to the coach's office podcast. JB, Georgie, how you guys doing?
I'm doing very well today. Had a good morning at sunrise. Breakfast was good. I went to my coffee shop. Shout out Texas Street Coffee. It was a good time. The espresso is banging right now, that time of year. And ready to hang and talk with you guys.
Doing well as well. Didn't know there was a good time of year for espresso. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
And that's fruits and vegetables, but I guess it's a plant or a crop. So yeah, that makes sense.
So I just finished a little swim this morning. We're the week before our regional competition or our semifinals. Semifinals, right?
Yep.
I call regionals. The week before we start next Friday. So just kind of getting geared up for that. And I wanted to talk about all of that, all of the events, all of the
Excellent.
my I guess issues that I have with everything. And then I would like to preface this with we can talk about this. I'm going to rant about this and complain about this, and then I'm done with it. And I'm going to go next weekend and compete. But if I don't talk about it, it will just kind of eat me up all week. So I wanted to sit down, talk about it, get it out of the system, and then we can kind of go from there. So first, I would like to say, I guess, I have never programmed for like a regional event or a games event or anything like that. I would love to. So if anybody's watching this and wants help, input, feedback, wants me to program the event, I would be more than happy to give you my thoughts on workouts, do the whole weekend of events, whatever. I test them, program them, whatever facet you would like me to do, I'd be more than happy to do that. So I'd like to start that with that. Like, I'd be more than happy to help out, more than happy to write programming for a competition. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I think it'd be decent at it. So maybe competitors don't complain a lot about events, about workouts, because they're taught that they shouldn't, because you should just be the athlete. You should just go compete, and you shouldn't worry, and you shouldn't talk about things that are outside of your control. You shouldn't worry about things that are outside your control, because you should just show up and you should just compete. And that's why I think a lot of this stuff has never changed in CrossFit since it started. It's been one way, and it was always that way. And the athletes that had like kind of complaints or gripes or whatever about it, they would just be like, well, just shut up and work harder. And it's like, okay, that's a fair comeback to that. But I think that if you're speaking evolutionarily, as a company or a sport evolves, especially with CrossFit, how it's in the beginning, it evolves only based off of what pressures you place on it. So if you place a pressure on it, it will evolve in a certain direction. If you have a certain group of people in charge that are placing certain pressures on it to evolve in a certain way, it's going to evolve that way. If we sit here and we never talk about it as athletes or as whoever, and we just let it go, it's going to just evolve in the way that these group of people that are running CrossFit now will just decide that it should randomly evolve into. And right now, it's all about the money. It's all about what makes them the most money. So it's evolving into, hey, let me tailor these events around what sponsors I have or what equipment's coming in. I have to program this in my event. I have to do this, that, or the other to satisfy the needs of the people that are financing my endeavor. So I would like to talk about this to place a different pressure on these people that are running the events and CrossFit, potentially. It might not do anything. I might just get my words out of me, but I need to do that anyway. So I wanted to place a pressure in a different direction towards, hey, let's make this better. So I was hoping we could sit down and say, answer the question today of what makes a good programmed competition. So that's kind of the question I'd like to try to answer today. And next weekend, why I don't believe next weekend is a good test. I don't believe the 2 workouts that CrossFit put out are good tests for the event, for this year, for at all. And I will explain my reasons why, but I don't think they satisfy the CrossFit methodology that they used to preach and teach and use to test for the fittest people on earth. So I think we need to talk about it, and maybe we can kind of go from there.
100% agree. Everything you said. And I think I want to touch on a little bit too. Like, no one, like you said it yourself, and you're finally stepping out of that comfort zone, I think, a little bit, and just going, this is what I think from my 10, 12 years of experience working out and programming for a gym. I'm programming for local competition that we run, but no one wants to be the complainer, or they don't want to be seen as I'm just complaining. So if I don't do well, it's because I don't like this. There are going to be some people that like these workouts,
Sure,
or that like this whole test. I think you can like them and still agree that it's not completely balanced, or there are things missing, or things that could be better, and acknowledge that, and still be a little excited because, hey, either way, this is going to go good for me, maybe, because I really like these. I really like this combination. Or I'm a big guy in these machines. I'm going to crush, and I can hang on to these sets of gymnastics with no problem. That's not going to slow me down. Stuff like that. So I think there's complaining to complain, but then there's also, like you said, for the point of progress and where CrossFit's going, or where it can go, where it's come from. And it has progressed from like 2011 to 2018, every regional, it got the volume of gymnastics got higher, and then it got more complex. So maybe it went down a little, and then it added to that. And there was always some sort of growth and elements. There was never like an addition of, let's just keep throwing a machine in here, though.
Yeah, it was marching in the right direction for an extended period of time.
There was never more than 3 machines, and one of those would be a runner when they started to introduce running in a regional the whole weekend, and no more than 2 workouts.
Right.
And usually only one of those workouts was dominated by the machine. The other one was 50 cals on a salt bike in the middle of a long chipper, or 50 cals at the beginning and the end of a rower. Not something that was going to be like repeatedly rounds back to.
So that's that's one of our points, right? And we're going to come right back to that. And the first thing I want to say was that I don't know how next weekend's going to go, right? I just see the events and I'm like, wow, they could have done a lot better than this. So let me say something about it, because I'd like to play, like I said, I'd like to place a little bit of a pressure on them in a different direction. Hopefully they can receive that criticism in a positive light and not in a negative one. But I think that programming seems, I've said this before, it seems to me more like an art form. Like there's good programming, you just kind of know it when you see it. It's difficult. Yeah, it's exactly. So it's difficult to explain. And then there's another side of programming that's very mechanical, that you could sit down and you could lay out these 10 things that you want to cover in each event, and then you build your workout around these 10 things, and you're probably going to program a pretty good event. But you might be missing that like artistic flair of, the number of reps, or the way you get on and off the floor, or something like that. Like something that Dave always thought of these things. Yep. but there's 2 ways you can look at it, as an art form, and then as a just purely mechanical, this analog, this is the way that it is. I can do it this way repetitively, and you can cookie cutter and take that method and then place it into other competitions. And then coming back to the problem, one of the issues that we were talking about was, it seems like this event, they took the machine and they based the event around the machine aspect versus placing the event around a component or a skill or a modality that they wanted to test. So the way I look at it, if I'm going to look at I'm going to program a workout, I want to say, what do I want to test? You have to ask questions, and those are the first questions. What do I want to test? And if I want to test, a skill, let's say, like strength under fatigue, I'll use the machine as something to make that skill or strength or whatever it is more difficult. I'm not going to use it as, 2,000 meters on the rower and then a small lift, because it doesn't really matter what the lift is. The row is going to matter more than the lift. So therefore, I'm not testing my strength component anymore. I'm really just testing my work capacity on the rower. So like, you see how there's a balance where you need to find what you're testing exactly, and then surround the workout with other components that are going to make that thing more difficult, or make that thing more challenging, or force the athlete to be efficient through that movement, or force the athlete to be strong in that moment through that lift, so that they don't slow down as much through the event. But if you don't place, like, look at that as an obstacle or a stumbling block. If you don't place that obstacle in the right place, and if it's not difficult enough, you're not going to separate the field. That's another thing. You have to separate the field. So there's another point there, is like, you have to let the field, there just has to be some sort of separation. You can't have everybody finishing within 5 seconds of each other, because then you're just going to come back down to judging discrepancies, or, hey, your workout wasn't hard. Like, your workout wasn't challenging. It wasn't a workout as a test. It wasn't hard enough.
I think a lot of people miss, like, you don't think it's hard to program. I think it comes naturally to you, especially at this point, like, in the game. For me, it's something I have to put a ton of time into. If I do something for, like, working with a team of girls on the lacrosse team, was like, I have to put a lot of thought into it, because I don't see things as quickly, as easily as you do. And you may see things right off the bat that I didn't recognize. Like, and I got into a little bit of a debate with someone over this programming online, and a retort to my critique was, they listed, 3 barbell, 1 dumbbell, 1 med ball, 3 machines, 5 gymnastics, 2 odd objects. I think it's relatively balanced. I was like, that doesn't tell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that 3 workouts there were 3 different barbell movements, or 1 was a med ball. Like,
it's true.
How does the weight change? How are they combined? How much gymnastics? How big is a set? Like, how difficult? Like, that doesn't tell me anything.
This is where a little bit of the art comes into play.
Right, exactly. And when you do, like, a CrossFit level 1, they give you a layout or a template that you can insert, and you've got your single modality and your weightlifting and your gymnastics, and it's like, hey, let's try to do these on different days. But then you've got all these different planes that you can do things in, the horizontal and the vertical. Like, are we pushing and pulling this way? Like, there's just so many different ways to test things, and
you can overthink it too.
Yeah, right, and make it more than it needs to be. And I think what you said, the first step is, what am I trying to test? Like, I know they had to change things for these comps based on when CrossFit presented them with these 2 workouts. And so that altered some things, but I don't know. I think there's a good amount of skill involved in it. And I think some people are just missing the mark.
Yeah. And it's like, everybody can go to a level 1, but not everybody can successfully run a CrossFit gym.
Right.
And it's like, just giving anybody the reins to program an event. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get. Like, you might get someone that kind of has it put together and can figure it out and can see it clearly. And it doesn't take them, 3 weeks to come up with a workout or an event. You know what I mean? Like, some people can just sit down and do it in an hour and come up with a better test than we have for this next weekend, Right.
But then you also have the history that we're missing, or the longevity, which Castro had from year 1 of regionals, like, in his back pocket. Of a story that he wanted to tell, or a whole timeline that he could go through from open to regionals to games. And now we're getting, like, a disjuncture there. And I don't know if people are looking back at the history of CrossFit when they're making these events.
Not many people
where
now were there.
What have we done? Like, should we be doing this still? Should we make this harder? What should we be doing now? Or just, what do we want to do? Or what do our sponsors want to give us so that we can get money and do
right. And it's like, if that's ever a thought in the programmer's head, then you're probably in the wrong place. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that should have that much of an impact on what you program. Like, I think you need to stick to true what you're trying to program, and make that be true, and not let all these other things kind of come into the mix. Yeah, it just didn't seem so. Like, these events, it didn't seem like there was that much effort placed into coming up with them. It seemed like it was lacking from both CrossFit and from whoever's programming this event next weekend. And again, that's a critique. I get it, but I look at the events, and it's like, hey, just there's 3 events there's 2 events back to back that have the same movement in them for a lot of reps. And it's like, you can't program 150 wall balls and then the next workout program 100 barbell thrusters at 45 pounds. I don't understand. There's no point in that. So it's like, I catch that in 5 seconds.
Right.
Like
That's
if you
what
ask
happened.
5 people whether you should do that or not, like 3 or 4 should say, hey, probably you should come up with something else.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's my list points to, or someone argued, is barbell a med ball? Oh, okay, but that barbell was empty. And it's a squat and press, and the med ball was used for the same thing. It was another squat and press.
Yeah, like I would sub those out in classes.
So just
for
looking
Jackie.
at it as 2 different implements doesn't make the movement different.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're different. Like, yeah, they're different, but they're not at all. The movement pattern is the same, and you have to look at them from the right point of view. And you're not looking at them from the right point of view if you say one's different. Those are different because they're the same. So that's one example. From, I don't know where else you want to go, but we can just kind of go down the list. The first event is 3 squat cleans, 2 front squats, 1 shouldered overhead, 3 attempts, and you get just max weight. And I'm like, okay, cool. They want to test. Like I can say, great, this is a cool test. It's fun. I've never seen it before. Great. We just did the Bella complex at Rogue. Rogue's done that twice now.
Yep.
And they did it at the Rogue Invitational, and that was the most recent one they did. Everybody saw what everybody did on the Bella complex. They could have got the same placements if they would have just done a clean and jerk ladder. They didn't need to do the Bella complex.
100%.
It was just fun to watch, right? It's something different. But
Kind of, but not even. It's not even that fun to watch. Watching somebody re-rack a real heavy clean and jerk is not fun to watch.
There's like a moment where you're watching where you're like, oh, okay. They re-racked it. Like there's one there, but then there's 2. Like you can't cheer somebody on through that lift. It was so quiet in the stadium until they finished the lift. It was just different. But if you did something like a ladder, or you did something like just 3 attempts where you work your way up, like that actual one, that's more fun to watch as from a spectator.
It really
point of view.
is.
2, it does the same thing test wise. 3, it's easier on the athletes. It's simpler on the athletes.
Right.
Look at this, 3 attempts. People are going to lift over 315 for this clean. You have to lift over 315 you want to finish in the top 10.
Correct.
That means that if you're starting at 315, you're going to do 15 squats above 315 as your first event of the weekend of 6 events. It shows me that they're not thinking of the athletes because that's a lot.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, sure, that's a lot of volume. Like you can make the argument of like you should be able to handle that volume. But some people might not do 3 attempts. Some people might just do an attempt or 2.
Right.
You're not thinking about the athletes when you make these events. Like there was very little thought that went into that. Because CrossFit, like you can test the same thing with clean jerk. Why not just clean jerk? Take the lowest common denominator. What are you trying to test? I'm trying to test strength.
Right.
Test strength then. You don't test, don't hold on to the barbell for a minute. That's not the same thing.
It's really not the same thing, and it's just getting away from the pyramid. We walked through it, and if you're going to do Olympic weightlifting, Olympic weightlifters, professional Olympic weightlifters are laughing at that.
Yeah, there's no other strength in the competition.
It's absurd.
The last event maybe, like
Right.
a couple reps. But like there's no other
Correct.
strength. So what's the deal? If you're going to test strength. You're going to get the same athletes that finish if you just do a 1 rep max. Why not do a 1 rep max?
Right. I fully agree at that point. And it actually brings the race closer together by doing that. It makes it more fun to watch, and the regionals athlete is potentially going to PR if it's is anybody PRing on this movement?
Well, yeah, because you haven't done it before.
Right, but that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's absurd. Like your test is flawed because it's not doing what you think it's doing. Fix it. Make it a ladder, or what? Are there any other ways to fix that? 3 attempts, ladder. Let's try and come up with something brand new, like on the spot. That's hard. That's not an easy thing to do. We're coming up with a brand new thing
Well,
on
they
the
did
spot.
something like, what was it, the 35 double unders into a max snatch, and they did a ladder of that. That's different, but it's also not that different if you change it slightly and do something a little bit different.
Right.
You
You're talking about
The
That last competition.
No, it was like 2011 regionals or something. 2013 regionals. I don't remember.
What was I just thinking of? Double unders. Oh, the med ball.
You were thinking about
thing or whatever.
the Rogue Invitational.
Yeah. But anyways, I think you're spot on. I totally think you're spot on.
You don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
Like the simpler, the better. Let the athletes show off their abilities. Don't create a test where like the goal is to just defeat the test or something like that.
Right.
You know, like set it up, 100 max clean and jerk. Let them work their way up.
Because that's what you practice.
Sure. And it's interesting because it's like CrossFit's the only sport where I can sit here and complain the week before my event about the events that are made.
Right, that are like just brand new. You don't see it in any other.
Not brand new, just poorly thought out.
Or
you know, just poorly thought out. Like
right.
From CrossFit side of view and from whoever finished the programming, whoever did the programming for the event.
Right, like the difficulty I think of in a weightlifting sort of event that's going to manifest is the fact that if you're a smaller guy, then yeah, you're working really hard throughout the year to be strong. Haley Adams just put a post about I'm no longer a teenager. I'm a young woman. Stop playing games with me. And oh, by the way, I got pretty strong this off season. So watch out. Like I'm coming. That's sweet. That's awesome. That's great. That's fight. That's drive. All right. I took that post serious. I saw it. I see what she was communicating. But now you throw this in and it's like, hey, have you been practicing 3 cleans into 2 front squats into a shoulder overhead? No, because you don't do that because that's not what this is.
And the arguments, okay, the strongest athlete's going to win the event. Okay, fine. But it comes back to you're not thinking about the athletes when you do something like that, when you do an event like that. You have to think about the athletes. You can't just look at it from a programmer point of view or from a fan's point of view. You have to look at it from an athlete's point of view. You have to.
I think it's a complete cop-out to fall back on the strongest person's going to get through or the top 5 fittest will still get through no matter what we program. That's a complete cop-out. That's like saying I can program trash and not have to put any thought into it, whatever level I do, and the fittest people are just going to be the fittest people. Like, it still doesn't get the whole field of the fittest people there, in my opinion. And I think competitions last year proved that point with some serious people that didn't make it out of their regions, then had to fight through the last chance qualifier, and then they got to the games and they were like, the top of the half of the field or better at the games with 15 tests, with more deeper tests of fitness and a variety of tests and better program tests than what they experienced at their semi.
The last chance qualifier last year was lazy too. So
go to the second event.
Okay. So the second event is 30 cal Echo Bike, 75-foot torque tank sled push. 30 dumbbell burpee deadlifts, and then tank push, and then 20 Echo Bike, and then tank push, and then blah, 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 10 cal Echo Bike, 10 devil press with the dumbbells. It stays with the dumbbells, 50-pound dumbbells, and then there's Echo Bike and some sled push. It is a fantastic fit workout. I mean, I say fit workout because we program Krypton Fit classes, which are 30-minute classes. You come in, you work out, you breathe hard, you exercise to this kind of like a little lower intensity. It's high intensity interval training, right? But there's some lower intensity workouts thrown in there, and
lower
people love
skill
those.
Workouts is
lower
what it
skill,
is. And that's
easy,
what that is. Where's the skill?
Easy to move through. They did the torque tank because Torque is a sponsor of the event, and they paid them. The torque tank is a joke. Unless you're pulling it hand over hand or backwards or dragging it, everybody moves it at the same speed.
Yeah.
Why not throw in a 20-second rest? You know what I'm saying? Because that actually would change the workout a lot. But when you throw in a torque tank like this, a bike into torque tank into a high repetition of dumbbell burpee deadlifts, it is a slow twitch work capacity workout. It would be like, let me go Echo Bike for 30 minutes and who has the most calories at the end of it. That's my test. This is my test for that event. It's not there's no explosiveness. There's no fast twitch. There's no managing your work and rest. It's just let me Echo Bike hard and let me stay moving consistently.
So what's that testing?
It's testing the same thing that the Jackie workout's testing. And it's testing the same thing that the wall ball GHD ski handstand walk workouts testing.
I
That's my problem
yeah.
is that all 3 of those workouts are they're testing the same type of thing. Sure, the
Right.
elements are slightly different. And on the wall ball one, I'm testing like a little more shoulder fatigue, core with the ski erg and GHD.
And a bit more skill set, I would say.
A bit
with
more
the
skill.
Handstand walking.
It's one of the ones I don't hate, but it's complicated. There's 4 movements. It's like stick with couplets, triplets, potentially a chipper, and that's it. Like you don't need to do a ton of movements in every workout, right? Simple to better. But these workouts, number 2, number whatever, 4 and 5, they're testing the same thing. In my opinion. This is my opinion. It's how fast can you bike on the Echo bike? Get off, just steady move on the tank. Get off, steady move on the burpee deadlifts. If you stop, if you rest, if you're forced to rest, you finish last.
Right. And we're getting in a place in culture where like we're discussing things and we always put this disclaimer at the end, like in my opinion. Good. That's good. We don't want to have absolute truths floating around or whatever it is. But I do want to push back on that in my opinion because I think you have a proper diagnosis though. So like doctors don't walk in and say, hey, in my opinion, normally they walk in and they try and tell you exactly what's wrong, right? So if you're going to diagnose what's wrong with the event, which I think you are, and I'm not scalding you, what I'm saying is doesn't seem like a very much of an opinionated take. It's, no, you're wrong. 2, 4, and 5 are the same workout. And something needs to be done about it. And if you have, man, I'm thinking of the 2017 regionals was like a really, really, really good show of, that was, yeah, it was dumbbell year. It was, it had the strict muscle ups in it. That
combined with handstand push, strict handstand push.
Yeah. The heavy deadlift with the run GHD.
That was a different year, I think. That was 16.
I'm thinking of 16.
Yeah, I'm telling you that the pro it's changed a little bit after 16, 15 really, but 16. But yeah, anyways, go ahead.
But anyways, diagnose it. Like legitimately, like, hey, you should listen to this diagnosis because it's going to be you will benefit. Like
Sure.
if you want to talk about benefits, you want to talk about sponsors, you want to talk about making money, you want to talk about longevity, you want to talk about this going further and farther. Well,
you have to think about it.
Yeah,
you have to understand it like philosophically.
Yes.
Like you have to have a reason for why you do what you do, and you have to hold true to those values.
All right. So let's take the Torque Tank. Torque Tank, great. I'm glad you're sponsoring the event.
I bought a Torque Tank,
Right.
5 years ago because I was like, oh, that's cool. You can change the resistance on it.
Yeah.
You get it, and it's like you just push it, and it's all the same speed.
Right.
It's not as hard as the Rogue dog sled.
So make it really hard. That was another thing that I realized about regionals, which was what I always said of like whenever anybody would come in and train and be like, yeah, I'm training to go to regionals. I was like, no, you're not. Like you think you are, but the caliber you need to be at is 10 years away. Like, so I just want to let you know, I'm going to tell you right now, don't make that your goal. Like I could really tell you. However, when I observed, like when you, Alec, Adam, Kelly, like that, there was one year where there was like, it seemed like 10 people. It was a bajillion people were going to regionals.
It was 6.
6. But didn't Dave go that year? 1, 2,
There were
3,
no,
4,
there were
5,
but there were
6,
4 of us in the last
7.
heat.
Yeah.
There were
All
4
right.
of us in the final heat of
Yes.
the competition at regionals. It was
Right.
cool in the top 10.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And that event or those events were, I always used to say they were always extremely heavy. They were always extremely hard, and they were usually something new. Like something really, really, really going
And it
to
wasn't
push you.
but it wasn't that new. That it was just like
No, it was.
it
It
wasn't.
was 30-inch box jumps instead of 24. It was
Sure.
a 30-pound wall ball instead of a 24-pound wall ball. It was a 405-pound deadlift.
but it was
instead
done
of
in an
225.
appropriate manner. It wasn't a 405 deadlift for a 21:59. It was a
Right.
405 deadlift for 7 reps for 3 rounds.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
It tested your strength, but
Yep.
it also was you could if you could blow through it, you gained so much on the field.
Correct.
And it was like, that's the kind of test that you need to throw in. It's not,
I don't know. Which is what I was thinking about this torque tank thing. Make it as hard as possible. Like, it needs to be something like that. Like, if somebody's just going to dominate hand over hand pulling this, great. I'm glad that you can dominate that, whatever. But if it doesn't separate anyone, then...
Tia Claire Toomey, and I did the same thing, was chalking her hands during the torque tank push and recovering last year before the event between the pushes. So there was that was the rest. So you're like, okay, let me just rest and chalk my hands while I push this sled. It's a joke. Take the sled out of the competition or make it really hard.
They wrote something in the flow for the workout that I don't know if this tank is different or what they consider the low bar, but you're only allowed to push off of the low handles, whatever those may be. I thought ours only had one set of handles, so I'm not sure what handles they're referring to.
It doesn't matter. It's all going to move at the same pace anyway.
You know what I mean? But if you have to hold it instead of leaning it on your shoulders and actually have your hands on it, and you can't chalk while you're pushing it, but you know, either way.
So the torque tank is magnetic.
Yeah.
So if the harder you put, the more effort you put into it,
pushes back on you.
The more it pushes back on you, but you go like 5% faster. So the effort that you would have to put in to go 5% faster is not worth it. You would be dumb if you really tried to push it hard. So that's what, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's why I think it's stupid. That's why I think it's poor. It shouldn't be in the event.
Yeah. Why not just have a heavy sled push with
if you wanted, if that's what you wanted to do,
4 or 5 plates on it.
If you wanted to test that, that would be fine. That's only been done once in a competition with other movements in it, and that was in 2011 or 2012. And it was strict handstand push-ups, overhead squats, double unders, and the dog sled push. And it was ridiculously heavy at the games. And there was only 3 of them, and you pushed it to the finish line. And you chipped your way across the field. There was an art to it. It evolved as you went on, and you could see the competition lay out and play out. It wasn't just push back and forth in between your Echo Bike calories and your fit class work on the dumbbells.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like an accessory.
Yeah, it's just thrown in there because they're sponsoring the event, and it shouldn't be there. And that's the second event. Second event is the same as the other
What's
2
3?
events.
What's number 3?
Oh, my favorite. The run legless rope climb. CrossFit made this event. Or CrossFit did this event in 2014. In 2014, as soon as they announced it, I said, this event is stupid. It's all about the run. One legless rope climb is a joke for all of the male athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, some of the women athletes struggled with it. Okay, but like if I'm doing legless rope climbs in a workout, I don't write the same amount of legless rope climbs sometimes for women as I do for men. Just for that same reason, like you might do 2 to 1 or 3 to 2 or something like that. I think we said in 2014 it should be 2 legless rope climbs if you really want to test legless rope climbs, but clearly that's not what they wanted to test, for one. And for 2, they're not legless rope climbs. It's how high can you jump. It's like, let me jump high, pull twice, and touch the top. Like, it's just a running event. It's very, very, very poorly thought out. People might say it's fun to watch. I'll give them that. Might be fun to watch, but everybody's going to finish within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to move your pylon between each round, 10 rounds, 10 times.
You don't have to move it.
You don't have to move pylon? All right.
The judge is moving it for you. You just have to run.
So you just have to run.
Touch,
so it's going to be even faster.
Run and touch it. Yeah.
So it really is just...
It's just
running as fast as you can.
It's a run event.
Right.
I said this the other day, and I'll say this again, and JB likes to talk about how he's a trash CrossFit athlete. He's not trash either way. Neither of us are trash. We're, you know what I mean? Like, if we do the open and we're like top 10%, I don't think we're trash. We're not competitive athletes. Like, we're not going to semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
However, I used to watch regionals and the games, and when I say watch, I've been to everyone since 2013 in person and every game since 2014 in person, and it's a different experience if you've not been in person, especially the games, because you don't get what they put on the live stream. You get to dictate the show you want to watch, because let me tell you, half the time they're following one race and it's not even between those 2 people that they're airing, and you're like, oh, out of nowhere, here's this person. No, they were there the whole time. You just didn't. You just weren't watching. So anyway, I divulged. But my point was, rarely ever is there a regional level workout program that I can do with full standard movements or weights and within the time cap.
The 11-minute time cap is an absolute joke.
Yeah, for guys especially, but even for women.
This workout's going to take 3 minutes.
even for women now. And I can do that many legless rope climbs before I hit a point of fatigue where I can't in that window. Because last year's similar workout with 4 strict handstand push-ups, legless rope climb, the only thing that held me back on that workout was the weight of the dumbbell snatch.
That workout was just a dumbbell snatch event, if you want to talk about that one. You might as well have just programmed 100 dumbbell snatches. There was no separator. You needed to make... You thought you were trying to separate the field with these 4 handstand push-ups and 1 legless rope climb, but you weren't. You didn't make the wall high enough to separate the athletes. You had them all funnel into a corner, turn, and then run. And it was just, okay, who can run the fastest after they turn the corner? Like, it wasn't about who was the most efficient through those skills or through those movements. Same thing with the run legless rope climb. It has nothing to do with the legless rope climb.
I always thought the demo team was silly. Like, in my mind, I was like, oh, I was unsure what it was. I couldn't figure it out. Like, and I don't even want to speculate on what I thought because it was all over the map. Like, but it makes sense now.
Yeah, they needed them.
Like, you better test you need to test every workout in 5 iterations of the workout and see what it does, and then listen to the people that are doing it to say, do that one.
I think that's what Dave did. So,
yes. I've never missed Dave more. I never thought I would say that phrase.
Well, apparently it's proving really hard to program well for an event.
Right.
They're guys proving that.
The program had a team of 3 people programmed for the syndicate, same programmers as the MAC. And they said, we have some pretty fit guys that have tested these workouts. Well, are your pretty fit guys the same as like games competitors that Dave used to pull in? That's not the same level. Your gym pretty fit guys, even if they've been on teams in the past and have made it to the games, aren't the current pretty fit guys. And that's where Dave pulls from. The most recent pool of just went to the games last year, isn't competing at this year. He's using them to test these workouts, and those guys finish. It would be like Ben finishing a workout, testing it for him, and be like, yeah, so-and-so is going to go this much faster on this workout because he knows exactly how that's going to go.
You have your finger on the pulse. You're still in the game. Like, you're still with the field. You still know how the field's evolving.
Yeah, and time caps, these time caps that they're throwing for these workouts, they're not even close, I think, to like, I don't care. Like, if you're trying to establish this workout as a medium range workout, 10 to 15 minutes, and putting that time cap out there and saying that that's what it is, but then people are finishing it in 3 to 5 minutes, then it's not the right test, and you're going to be skewed one way. And your long test and your middle range and your short range aren't going to be evened out because you don't have the right people trying these out.
And yes, and you need all of those components. That you need a long range workout, you need a short sprint workout, and you need a mid range workout. And I have nothing wrong. I made a joke that there was like a fit class workout. I have nothing wrong with a workout like that.
Right.
One workout like that, not 3 out of the 6 tests.
Right.
You're testing the same thing. Like,
and to be charitable, maybe it looks like legitimately. Maybe maybe when they came up with them and they tested them, they were like, oh, this looks like a good test. They tested them, and the people that did them said they were difficult. I'm not going to say that these workouts aren't difficult or you can't make them hard.
They're going to be ridiculously hard. Don't get me wrong.
Right. That's not what's
what I'm
being
saying.
said.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not complete. It's not whole.
Right.
Like, you have I was trying to think of like a food analogy but
you can live off of one thing.
Yeah.
Not saying that you should eat it every day.
Right.
And not saying that it's the best for you. But like, when I say, hey, JB, you probably just shouldn't drink just coffee and eat protein powder.
Correct.
You probably should eat some food or something. You probably should do something different.
Right.
I'm not hating on you. I'm just telling you that, hey, you could probably, be a little bit better in here. I like iron sharpens iron type thing. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
Right.
You try to help me out in the same way, right?
100%.
I'm trying to help out here by saying something, because if I don't say something, CrossFit will evolve the wrong way.
Yep.
And it is evolving the wrong way right now, currently. It is moving in the wrong direction.
Correct.
And CrossFit, with the 2 workouts they put out, they I don't know why they put those 2 workouts out. Those were poor options. They didn't test what they were trying to test. They didn't separate the field. They didn't do it in an efficient way. I don't know. They just missed the mark. They missed the mark there with those 2 tests that they put out. They could have put out any other repeat workout, and maybe any other workout, and it would have been great. that was probably the worst choice they could have picked. Like, if I could pick 3 workouts that were that bad, and that was one of them.
Like, coming back to the
Jackie was another one.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was just like, it was in one of the regionals.
It was the last event of a regional.
No, it was the first event. First event. They opened it up.
Interest.
And
For
I was
real?
like, yeah. And I remember they announced that, and I'm like, everybody's going to finish within 10 seconds. It's going to be whatever. Like, Dave just wants to see a tight race, and he wants to see everybody just sell out on whatever.
Selling out on
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
An OG
fine.
workout.
That was the only workout that was like that.
Right.
The rest of them were testing different skills across different domains.
Mm-hmm. I keep coming back to this thought of what Georgie just said about when I saw regional workouts, like the athlete that I am is sort of like kind of what Georgie was talking about, where it's like I measure my year on whether or not I look at the regional workouts and go, I can do that or not, or like I'm going to do well on those or not. For instance, let's take that ridiculously hard strict handstand push-up workout with the front squats and the burpees over the bar.
Mm-hmm.
That workout was nasty.
But it also separated people big
It was
time with a skill.
incredibly good at separating everyone. Yep. Incredibly good. That the workout with the like, I don't know,
21
nasty
15,
or I'm thinking it was 21 18 15 12 9.
21 15 9 6 3.
Oh.
Yep.
No.
Strict handstand push-ups, front squats, burpees over the bar. Front squats were like 185, 195.
How many reps is that? I remember it being 775, but you're right. It
felt like
right.
a lot more.
But the dumbbell snatch. All right, so that it was at 70 pounds, right? The single arm dumbbell snatch, strict muscle up, air squat workout from 2016, 2017.
I don't remember.
All right, it's a regular
Strict
workout.
ring muscle up. The only one was the 4 strict ring muscle ups, 7 strict handstand push-ups, and then it was 12 kettlebell snatches.
Yeah, yes.
With the 70, and
Yes,
it was
with the
10 rounds
70.
for time, and there was a 20-minute or 21-minute cap or something like that.
All right.
Yep.
Come on.
And I
now.
remember most people didn't finish. I finished
Yes.
second place, and I didn't finish the workout.
Correct.
Or third place or something like that.
All right, that is a prime example. That dumbbell is scary, or that kettlebell is scary.
But it was so simple and different that it's like, hey,
Right.
you have to adapt to this new domain that you haven't been in, but you've kind of been in it because you do movements like
You
this.
do those things.
But I'm going to give you a kettlebell. You're not familiar with this kettlebell.
Right.
You should be training this for next year.
So workout 3 has 50-pound dumbbells in it.
Yep.
50.
Yep.
What? That's the open weight.
Mm-hmm.
The open has 50-pound dumbbells in it.
Mm-hmm.
At least make them 80. Like if you're gonna do the next stage, the dumbbell at least gets heavier. Right?
Yeah, maybe. And I don't even think that's the fix to this workout.
I'm not saying that's a fix. All I'm saying is it just doesn't fit.
No, because it's just a slow twitch, steady state workout. It is not there's no managing your work and rest in that workout.
At all.
It's whoever stays moving wins.
Yep.
And it seems like that's the way that CrossFit's been for the last few years, and it's not what CrossFit used to be.
That's a really good point. That's such a good point that I don't know how many people that are thinking about this, doing this, are observing that work to rest mentality. Like what?
Like your workouts should exceed the capacity of the fittest people on earth. That's what Greg Glassman said about CrossFit.com workouts. That's .com workouts. That's not even competition workouts. Like we have events that are in here that are like 75% of the gym is going to complete RX within the time cap, well within the time cap.
Right.
Maybe more. Like, I don't know, maybe more. This Echo Bike sled torque tank dumbbell workout, I think everybody can finish. I don't know. Maybe it could be wrong. Legless rope climb, a lot of people would finish. It's not that hard. You know, it's more about.
I don't know how I will finish that workout.
Yeah.
Like that's the point. Like that statement shouldn't be.
All right, let's move on to the fourth one, which is the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 ski calories, wall balls, GHD sit-ups, and then an 80-foot handstand walk after each set. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It gets harder. This is a great longer workout. Like, if I'm going to test a longer workout, fine, this can be it. It's a little complicated with 4 movements. Normally you either do a chipper for your long event, you either do a chipper, or you do like a 3 or 5 rounds with a run in there, or something that takes up a little bit more time. Like they did the 333s one year. Like that's my longer event. It's a triplet. It's simple, and it's testing, something very specific for that long duration. This one's just like, hey, let me just throw like a different hodgepodge of movements together and test how long these athletes can push themselves through this workout. The combination of ski erg and GHD will be difficult. If you have more mass, you're going to do better on this workout just because the ski calories are going to go faster. So if I put a machine in an event and there's 150 calories on the machine, you can really make up a lot of time on somebody if you just ski slightly faster than the other person. But if I just throw it in once, like it used to be thrown into and sprinkled into events where it's like, hey, let me test my ability to do X, Y, and Z around a 30-calorie one time on the rower or ski erg or bike erg or assault bike or whatever. One time, let me get in it, let me get on it and get off of it and see if I can get on and get off and still perform these movements at a high intensity. And not let me get on it 5 times and then whoever's best on the ski erg is going to win that workout. Because where else am I going to make up time? On my 150 20-pound wall balls? Maybe if you break them, because the handstand walk might make you break the wall balls, but like it's really just how fast can you move through, like how fast can I transition through these, 25 transitions, 20 transitions, 20 or 25 transitions. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Could be better. It could be very simplified. Not my least favorite event.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that workout too, and it's the same thing. It's like that. I like
another machine
workouts. I like GHGs. Yeah. The wall ball's not heavy or high for anything. Like, why is it not higher or heavier? Like, it's not. Why is it
not saying that it even always has to be,
yeah.
But like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is not. They obviously it's going to progress. Obviously, it's going to be a hard workout for anybody who tests the event. It's hard. Do you know how easy it is to make a hard workout? Do you know how hard it is to make an effective workout? There's a huge difference between the two. It's like, that's what's missing. Very, very, very easy to make a hard workout. Yeah. So, it's just another workout with another machine with a good chunk of calories in there. Not every workout needs to test a machine.
I think we're missing, or like what I had said is, people see machine and I feel like they think metabolic conditioning. Like
exactly, I think so too.
There's so many movements in CrossFit that you can put together, and so many different ways that you can test metabolic conditioning and your stamina than throwing a machine out there. And I would argue that that's not the best way to test it, because now you're just testing size and power of an athlete.
It's just power output.
And that's only 1 out of 10 of our physical skill sets that we want to test in CrossFit. I think we're missing so many more, like over this whole weekend. Correct. Between balance and agility and, just Correct. Ones that aren't sexy, I guess. People don't, you don't see it as prominent as you see the strength, like, oh, this is testing strength, or this is testing speed, or this is testing power. All these other ones are so much smaller, and I don't know. I do know. It just didn't seem like there was much thought that was put into it. Right. Or it was overthought. And
or it was overthought.
They kept
or they were trying to let me put in all of these movements because I need to put in all of these movements in the competition. I don't really have much else to say about that one. Let me give you an example of a way that a machine's put into a workout well. The final in 2011 or 2012, where it started with a row and it was a chipper, and it was like a 3-minute AMRAP, then a 6-minute AMRAP. It was
20 cal starting in.
Then you finished it for time. Yeah, and it started with 20 cals.
Yeah, that was it, 20 cals.
20 cals. Then you get off and you go do your chipper of work events. Yeah. And the intensity went from higher intensity to lower intensity to a longer duration. Mm-hmm. There was like a background of that aerobic. There was short breaks in there. It was different. We had never done anything like that. It was interval style. It was fun to watch. You could see people progress down the field. It was just very well thought out, very well planned, very well put together. finished with a hand-over-hand rope pull. You could see exactly where everybody was. It was exciting to finish like that. It was heavy enough that it was crushing people, but some people could move through it really quick, and they did well, right? Talking about myself there. But yeah, like that was a good way to put a rower in a workout, an event. But it's like that year, I don't think we had other machines in that year.
You had a 1K row on a different workout.
Yeah, it started with a 1K row, and then it did 5 rounds of the 25.
And so in both of those
shoulder
workouts, the rowing or the time spent on the machine was
negligible.
Yes, less than half or way less than half.
It was more about your efficiency through that machine than it was about your power output on the machine.
Right.
3 of these events test power output on the machine specifically. Last year at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, they did the same thing.
With the bike.
With one of the events came down to how fast could you bike. One of the events came down to how fast you could ski. And then what was the other one? How hard you could run on the runner.
The runner.
It was those 3 events. That was it. And if you're a bigger athlete, you're gonna do well at those. You're gonna bike 100 calories an hour faster, 200 calories an hour faster. Therefore, you will finish first. It's that simple.
You definitely. I don't want to hate on anybody, but there was definitely guys that made it through the Mid-Atlantic, that made it to the games last year because of that programming that will never make it back to the games again, and they did almost dead last at the games, where it never had like a standout moment. We're bottom throughout the whole thing. And so to me, yes, you had the top of the field, the top 3 that went through that did great, that did well at the games as well, had some holes that came through because we didn't test certain things. But then there was a couple guys that were like, you should not have made it. Like, and there was any number of like half a dozen other guys that could have gone through that would have done better at the games, that are fitter, more well-rounded, but the tests were lacking.
It depends on how you define fitness, right? I think like you're talking about, if you define fitness as, this person can just push themselves really hard in this domain, like on a bike or on a rower.
But that's not how CrossFit defines fitness.
Correct. It's a broad modalities, like or a broad number of modalities, like different fields, different things, not the same thing. Like a rower and a biker and a skier, they're the same thing. They're testing the same thing. If you're good at one of them, you're probably good at all the other ones. You don't need to test all 3 of them in one event. That's just like common. These are like common sense things that you're missing. And I'm like, I didn't address them because I thought everybody would just know that, but clearly not. This is 2 years in a row, and it's like, come on.
Local competitions do this too now, though, because it's a trickle-down effect. And
Absolutely.
I look at program
this is why I'm saying something.
I look at program competitions, and I'm like, I am not signing up for that because I don't want to spend half my time biking, rowing, and skiing or running on a runner. I'm like, get out of here! Like, that's not fun.
No, you can test your fitness in so many different ways than just that. And yeah, we can move on. But event 5. Is the gosh, it's the double jacky.
Yeah,
it's the
it's
1K,
so garbage.
1,000 meter row, 50 barbell thrusters, 60 chest to bar pull-ups, 50 barbell thrusters, 1,000 meter row.
Right. All right.
Why not just do Tabata air squats and then Tabata row, and then you're done with the event? Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe sprinkle in some chest to bars if you want to.
All right. So
we did Tabata row on Monday in the class. That's why I was thinking Tabata
row.
Row.
On paper, the number it looks good. Like I can see it, and I'm like, all right. Like I can see why a Joe Schmo would look at that and go, yeah, that's a good chipper. That's a good down and back chipper. But the second you do it, like the second you do Jackie, like the actual workout, you're like, oh, that's the workout. You would never add the next 2 movements. It changes it. How?
It's not Jackie anymore.
Doing what?
It's like, let me just double Jackie.
Right. You're
Everybody wants to do double Jackie. Nobody wants to do regular Jackie because it's like it's a good gym. It's a good workout to do in the gym to test your fitness if you're going like 10 minutes on it. But if you're going 5 minutes on Jackie, it's like at some point it stops becoming a good test.
It's a good warm up for you now. Like legitimately, you could go in. I could come into a class and it said Jackie was a warm up. I'd go, okay, that makes sense. I'll row, 4 minute 1K. I'll I'll, do 2 sets of 25 or 30 dumbbell thrusters, easy, not get my heart rate up. I could do that workout sub 10 and not get my heart rate over 150, like pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just eat.
What are you testing?
I'm so curious why you would do that.
Why you would do double jacky in a competition after doing 150 wall balls the workout before and a machine?
It doesn't make any sense.
Again, like my wife could catch this and say like, hey, maybe you should do a different movement. Like that's kind of back to back. My wife doesn't even do CrossFit.
Right.
She dabbles.
She likes, she dabbles. Right.
We got it. Yeah.
Right. Give her credit where credit's due.
She can do it, but she can handle it. But yeah, she doesn't do CrossFit at the moment.
Why does, do you think there's like an allure to why they did what they did? Like what?
So if
what,
you're gonna
if you're gonna
make me try to guess what they thought,
yeah,
they're like, hey, let me do a benchmark. Let me try to figure out what benchmark to do. And it's regional, so I'm gonna double the benchmark.
Yeah, how can I make this harder?
Yeah, and we haven't done. Oh no, wait, we did do a chipper. We haven't done a down and back chipper yet, so I'm gonna do a down and back chipper. But probably shouldn't do pull-ups because those are too easy and they're kind of hard to judge. So I'll just make it really clear and just do chest to bars. Didn't think about the barbell thrusters because those are gonna be impossible to judge. They were impossible to judge back in 20 whatever when they had Jackie at the regional.
You saw videos of people, which we have now all seen videos of plenty of people doing the thrusters for the open workout, moving however fast they could, not hitting that lockout. Top scores, top people, So are we going to have some really good judging? Probably not. So that's going to be a lot of how much
really
can I
hard
skirt the
to judge.
line?
It's really hard to judge for an event already.
Yeah.
Make it easy on the judges.
Right.
Don't program 100 barbell thrusters with 45 pounds and ask the fittest athletes in the world to try to go as fast as they possibly can through this event and then put it all on the judge. Like, you can make any other movement really simple. You make it heavy enough, they have to go through the range of motion,
Yeah. What about the time cap, though? I want to ask this question. They give you
I
a
didn't even look at the time
15-minute time cap for this workout.
Mm-hmm.
How long is this workout really going to take you?
I don't know, 10, 12.
Like, is anybody going to take even close to 15? Like, why is there a 15-minute time cap? Are you trying to suggest that there should be a 15-minute workout? Like, again, this is what my point, what I'm thinking with time caps and time domains is what are you saying with this? Like, and harking back to making these workouts for the fittest, then there should be a cutoff point where some people don't make it. Mm-hmm. Like you want to push them towards that time cap. Make it a 10-minute time cap. This is a 10-minute workout for you. We're not giving you a second over that 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like make people go out. If you give them 15 minutes and then we're sitting here just watching people finish a workout, like on a rower for meters, I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
It's a really good thought. I had one that I really, really hope comes back because I think it was a good point. And I've lost it, but
what was I talking about? I was talking about what?
No.
She started talking about time caps.
It's the glasses.
Yeah,
Georgie, that's such a good point. That time cap, it's like, make that, like, sure, could that fix this workout? It couldn't fix all of the other problems you addressed, but it could do something if you said, hey, you have 8 minutes. Like, if you make it 8-minute cap, then you have to sprint. You can't go less than
the time
90%.
cap changes. You change the event when you change the time cap. For
yeah,
sure.
That's a really, really good. That's really good insight.
Right, like if I give you 4 minutes for that workout,
yeah,
you better be rowing as hard as you possibly can to
right.
get off the rower and get as many thrusters. That's
right.
what it does. It changes.
And it has its
event.
own complaints in there or whatever, but it really does do a good job of letting someone know how hard they're supposed to go. That's that's so good.
I don't know why you program 100 barbell thrusters after 150 wall balls.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I remember it. Shout out to Nathan Bramblett. If you're listening, if you hear this, I am so sorry this happened to you in 2016. He didn't make the games because of because of a 95-pound thruster.
I was in the lane next to him just listening to him get no reps on that first set of 21 thrusters.
I'm like, my heart is sort of like hurting right now for him. Because he only missed it because he had a bad judge no repping his 95-pound barbell thrusters going into that sprint legless rope climb barbell thruster workout.
Yeah,
And oh my goodness, was it legitimately heartbreaking? And he still got like 7th in the workout or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was gonna do great. He was gonna do like top 3, top 4, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And or maybe he did a little worse than that. But oh man, it was that light barbell. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to judge. It's putting them in such a bad position. And
Okay, so let's say out of how this event is, Jackie, the double Jackies, how long? 10 minutes? 11 minutes? They give you 15-minute time gap. It's 11 minutes. There's 2K of rowing in it. How long are you going to be on that rower? Probably 7 minutes.
70% of it.
So let's say 70% of that time is going to be spent on the rower. What are you testing? You're just testing rowing capacity.
100%.
You already tested bike capacity. You already tested your skier capacity with 150 calories. That's a 5, 6, 7, almost 8 minutes. Almost 8 minutes on the ski erg out of that 25-minute time cap, which it's not going to take them 25 minutes. It's probably going to take them, 16, 18, 20? Maybe it'll take the whole time. I don't know. That's a long event.
I don't think it's going to take that long.
It's a good chunk of change of that event,
Right.
of that workout.
It's not half of the time, but it's significant that it, compared to the past years we've talked about with CrossFit's programming of.
And the Echo Bike one?
Over half
30,
the time.
20, 10. If you include the sled, because they're the same thing.
Yeah, it's a
because it's a slow distance machine. It's well over half the time.
Mm-hmm.
It might be 3/4 of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It might be more than that. You're testing the same thing in 3 events. What are you thinking? That's just insane to me. Anyways.
All right, one more to go.
We can move on. The last event, the King Kong 2.0. Right?
Okay. So
I
this is where people want to argue with me when I said, because my critique to the whole event was too much machine bias, not enough skill, gymnastics, or volume.
Okay, it was too much machine bias. You look at just look at the total time that you exercise and how long are you on a machine.
Right.
It's probably half, maybe more.
Okay.
It's machine bias. It's too much machine in the event. So you're not wrong when you say that.
Okay. But
that's very easy to see.
Disagree with the gymnastics.
I didn't even hear the gymnastics side. You said there wasn't enough.
I said it wasn't enough gymnastics, either skill, like the difficulty, or volume, one or the two.
I would agree.
And a lot of that can be the way that it's split up. So this last workout with 8 muscle ups, 3 rounds, 8 muscle ups, 6 kipping deficit, 9 inches, 6 inches. And then you've got these 4 sandbag to shoulder, which is pretty heavy sandbag. And then
not really, but okay.
Two
squat snatch at 205.
So 205, which I would say 205, 145, which I say is not heavy enough. At
there
this
were 6
level.
or 7 people that snatched above 300 pounds or more last year.
So that's not heavy enough. That's not heavy enough there. But okay.
What is your goal? You have to ask what is my intention with this workout.
So are you trying to say that this is like a super gymnastics test? That's where because the bulk of the movements are on gymnastics?
What is this test? What are you testing? Are you just doing King Kong again and making it double 2.0? Like are you doing the same thing you just did with Jackie and doubling it? Yes. What are you trying to test? I know, but it's not even King Kong. Right. King Kong has a heavy deadlift in it. It has squat cleans and it has like 3 muscle ups and some handstand push-ups. It's not King Kong. Like,
so most people wouldn't have no idea what you're talking about because that workout has legitimately disappeared from the lexicon.
Gone. Because it was silly.
And no one has any idea. Like nobody watched there's a super famous video early on in CrossFit of what's his name doing it barefoot. Man.
Rob Orlando?
Yes.
Rob Orlando used to crush this workout. So you're pulling it up right now, King Kong? No. So it's 1 deadlift at 455. 2 muscle ups?
No.
2. No, what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it?
What's the handstand push-ups part? The 4 handstand push-ups? I think there's ring dips or something.
No, it's 3 ring muscle ups or 3 squat cleans at 255 or something like that. Yeah, they just posted you find it?
2 muscle ups, maybe.
Yeah.
And 4 handstand push-ups.
4 handstand push-ups. It's 2 muscle ups.
Right.
2.
It's 2.
2, yeah.
So King Kong 2.0 has 16, so rather than 6. So it's
24.
Oh, 8, 16, 24. I can't do math. Yeah. I'm too angry. I can't do math.
16 of the hands, or 18
Right.
of the handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
24 muscle-ups. But 8 muscle-ups at a time for anybody at this level is laughable. Like, it's just laughable. When people say they're like, most of this workout is gymnastics movement. So, yeah, but at that, like, maybe
You're
if you-
arguing online with people that don't do CrossFit.
No, I actually.
it's
that
like these
someone
things are
responded
obvious.
to my critique, or someone responded to my review that is it like team people, like a fitness people that have like a big name
Fitness
in
and CrossFit are different.
no, a big name at the games on a team. Like
Team and individual are different.
I guess, but I don't know. But there, you know, like there are. I was like, okay. I mean, like whatever. You can argue with me. I don't care. I'm still gonna stick by my.
The
So-
true things that you said that are
Right.
correct.
Very true.
And I'm
things.
not even just, blowing smoke here.
The
Oh, man.
so is this test who can do this without stopping? Is that the like Is it-
will be, yes.
and all right, so that's what it has become.
But here's the way I think of
which
it when I think that they thought of it.
mhm.
Oh, let me do 4 sandbag cleans at a heavy enough weight that it might challenge the gymnasts that are really good at the 8 muscle-ups and the 6 deficit handstand push-ups. So they did 4 sandbag cleans and 2 squat cleans at 205. You're not separating the field enough. You're not creating separation
Right.
with those 2 obstacles.
Correct.
That's it. You just
Correct.
didn't. You don't have your finger on the pulse of where the athletes are today.
Right.
You're missing the
yes.
mark because you are not up to date.
That was what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So when
Danny Spiegel does 200-pound sandbag cleans.
right. Yeah.
You're not up to date with what's going on. That's
Nah,
not
bro.
heavy enough to challenge the gymnasts at CrossFit.
Didn't you
anymore.
like push press 275 the other day or something?
Ridiculous. I'm not even going to start. No, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
So all right. Why don't they have their finger on the pulse?
I don't know. But it's like, I just go through the events and say, what are you testing? And then look at the test and compare what are you testing. So I talked to my dad had a good point about this. He said with his job, he's an engineer. And when they write up like a job description to someone, they have to write up like the design and everything and why they do certain things. And they have to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
People that write CrossFit events need to do a write-up in that same manner and describe what they're testing in each one of these events, why they're testing them, the people that they had approve these events or look at them or give them feedback or give them input or something like that, the adjustments that they might have made and the iterations they've tested. They need to be able to write this stuff out and explain to people so that people can get behind the job or get behind the competition. Like they would do this as so that their team could get behind what's going on, and they all approve of it, and they all understand the reason and the logic behind it. And this needs to be done for CrossFit events.
I would agree with that, but I have little faith in CrossFit.
I
right
will.
now.
This is where I started. I will do this.
But-
Someone reach out to me and say, "Hey, you want to come help me program? I'll do
What
something
I'm
different
saying-
that's never been done
what
before."
I'm saying is, if someone does that, if CrossFit changes from this year to next year, saying, "Hey, look, we're going to have final say on all your workouts. You have to present us with your full weekend of workouts."
They said they did that, right?
No, they gave
Okay.
what they called as bumpers, so more of a guidance. So maybe like time domains, or maybe you had to have each of these elements, or you had to have a heavy element with this or that. A little bit of that. I think they did, but not final say.
And it comes back to what you said before, where you said just because these elements are in it doesn't make it a good test.
Right. But my final point was going to be that even if they had final oversight right now, the people that are left to program or to approve the programming, I don't know if they have the right stuff.
Yeah.
They don't know if they have the stuff that Dave had, because they changed an open workout.
Which is why I'm offering I will help you. Just email me.
Right. But these same people that are like doing the programming from the open to quarterfinals changed an open workout because they wanted to make it more at home friendly. So they took shuttle runs out and put box jump overs in. And then you had 2 back-to-back workouts that were virtually the same, because you had a hinge, a pull from the ground with a dumbbell snatch and your deadlift. And then you had burpee and a jump over the bar, and you had a box and a
the
jump
open
over.
workouts were
Right, but they
whatever.
changed. But that's what I'm saying. Like they're like, we're making this more accessible, but they didn't think about. I feel like what it changed in the whole test.
Yeah.
And
'cause
then
it
they
does
threw that into quarterfinals, saying, "Hey, we're giving it back to you." Okay,
Mhm.
like I still don't like. Does the whole thing doesn't work now?
I don't want
though.
it now. I wanted it then.
Right, exactly.
Because when you did it then, there's a whole effect.
Changed that whole workout.
It's like
it
the
changed,
butterfly effect.
Yeah. So you can't just plug and play like that. And
Yeah, have you ever watched a time travel movie? Jeez.
I'm kind of worried about what the games are going to look like this year.
I have no clue. I don't think anybody does, you know? And that's the thing that's like, we're just on a completely different path right now. And I don't know.
All right, so you
who's
want to
in the
hear a
realm.
conspiracy
The hell.
that I
If it's
came up
CrossFit
with?
related, yeah.
It's CrossFit related.
Okay.
They're doing all of this to secretly win back the CrossFit community by bringing Dave back for the games.
Oh. Yeah, that's a positive conspiracy. That's way too positive to be a conspiracy.
I could only hope. Maybe it's more prophetic than conspiracy.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I've been thinking about my just normal worldview of like decentralizing everything and how much better I think the world is when things are decentralized. And like you could think of the beginning of CrossFit if Greg had started it and he was like, listen, I will send you your workout every day. Then it would have been.
You mean like CrossFit.com?
So he figured out how to do this without doing it. So he set up all of the infrastructure to where if you needed help, it was there for you. And if you wanted to write on the whiteboard what you wanted to write on the whiteboard, you could write on the whiteboard what you wanted to write on the whiteboard. That was the best decentralizing of what needed to happen. This new effort to bring, or maybe they're just trying to deflect from themselves. Maybe they're trying to say that you can't point fingers at us. You can only point fingers at these competitions or these people programming these competitions. Don't send it back to HQ or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, I could talk about that for a whole podcast. I can list out the reasons that are seemingly obvious for why this is happening. However, we keep trying to tell you it should be beyond obvious that it's not true. Like you're legitimately lying to yourselves thinking that you should continue this or continue to give it another go. It was obvious. It was obvious then, and it's obvious now.
Yeah, but like when you say something like that, the other party is completely blind to that. Clearly, they're blind to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like what do you
yeah.
And they're blinded by what? Something probably to do with money.
Well, I think it's the equity, inclusion, diversity blindness.
Well, that's sure. Not getting yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because that's what you're describing right now. That's what the change in that open workout describes. And it's like, well, yeah, cool. You did something that you thought was the most equitable, most inclusive, most diverse.
But you changed the entire trajectory of your season, which is what's the foundation of your whole entire enterprise.
Right. And I would argue that it is more fun to come here because the workout that's being posted is the workout that you did a week before, which I know the workouts that I get to do as a regular gym goer are probably 2 to 4 times harder than what most people do at other gyms. And that gives me pride. It gives me it encourages me. It helps me. It is a bar in which I like to try and attain. Like it's a noble goal, right? There's something good about being inclusive. But let me show you how I think this is the best way to include. If you brought us two on as partners for a partner workout that you should have games athletes on, and then still try and win. Like still try and take us to the next level of our fitness while taking yourself to the next level of your fitness. That's the best way to be equitable, diverse, and inclusive in a workout. It's not changing the workout and making it easier and lowering the bar for us to be able to hit it. It's you stepping up. So if if it's 100 muscle ups in the workout and we both can only do 30 in a workout and you got to do 40, but that's not fair. But is it? It might actually be more inclusive, or it might be more equal if you have to do more of the workload or whatever. This bar thing matters.
All right, see you, Georgie. Thank you.
Thanks for the airing of grievances.
See ya.
The bar thing matters. When you make the focus in it includes the inclusivity, it changes it changes the whole dynamic of what you have to ask the question. What are you doing? What is your goal?
Correct.
And if your goal is not a performance based goal or a merit type based goal, you're going to end up in a place that's not the most efficient or the most productive or the most fair or just or the most correct, true,
Right.
I don't know what else to say.
I mean, you could go.
You're
just
going
get to the
to end up in the
philosophical
wrong place.
Right.
You're going to end up in the wrong place if you're not focusing on the correct things. So I'm saying, we are standing here saying, what are you focusing on? You're not focusing on the right things. Let me try to help you focus on the right things. Here are some things you should focus on. That's hopefully what we kind of talked about.
100%. That's 100% what you said. To encourage you, that's exactly what you said, and it should be listened to. And
I would be more than happy to give modifications, feedback, changes, whatever. I'd be more than happy to. I've been here observing this and competing in this for a dozen years.
right.
Like, you just know what goes well together, and you know what doesn't go well together, and you know what tests should be done back to back to back, and you know what tests probably should be pushed off to later in the competition or first in the competition, or what's the lowest common denominator here in this weightlifting event that I can boil it down to the most simple thing possible so that the athletes can be the one expressing their ability on the field, and it's not the test that is the thing that's held up as the highest esteem, like the highest point.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hold up the athlete who's doing this better than all of the other athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just shouldn't be about the test. It should be about the athletes. Let me think about the athletes in the competition and how the weekend's going to go for them and feel for them throughout the weekend. And let me make it the best. Like, I'm not going to program a workout for JB. I'm going to say JB needs to work on his toes to bar.
Yep.
I'm going to say, all right, JB, here's what you're going to do. 100 GHDs, 100 hollow rocks. You're going to hold a plank for 3 minutes. Then you're going to do 100 toes to bar. Then you're going to do another 100 sit-ups, and then you're going to do 100 toes to bar, and you're going to really work on your toes to bar. I'm like, yeah, that's a hard workout.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it's like you're not getting anything out of doing those toes to bar.
0%.
I'm going to say, JB, hey, you should probably go just do some sets of toes to bar after class.
Right.
And really work on your quality and really work on
Right.
this. And here's a workout that I'm going to program for you where it's going to be a push press into a double under, and then you're going to do some toes to bar under fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
But the fatigue isn't going to be the same muscles over and over, and then you're going to test yourself on toes to bar.
Right.
Unless that's your intent.
Right.
And if it's your intent, I'm probably going to ease you into that, where I'm going to do like a couple GHDs and then, buffer it with a shoulder overhead and then go into a
Right.
toe to bar.
Right.
Whereas there's a mix in between there. It's
Mm-hmm. It's diluted a little bit.
a little bit.
And so, like, even yesterday, the bike cows, sit-ups, burpees.
There was some interference there, like the sit-ups. We did GHDs. We did
Right.
ski
You
GHD
ski
burpee.
GHD
The
burpee.
point was to test your core endurance through intervals.
Right.
You
All
have
right.
to do it. Yeah.
So I get to the class workout, and I'm like, I should, me, the athlete, should change these sit-ups to toes to bar because I don't like them. I need to get better at them. And, yeah. It didn't work out to where I could do that. However, I wanted to, and the workout was plenty hard, and I can't believe this ski GHD. This workout was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It was very hard.
It was a little much, and I had to tone it back for the class. But you have your finger on the pulse of the class, and you have a finger on the pulse of you and what you are doing and where your abilities are and where the field is, where you are relative to the field. And it's like, with these programmed events, I can't figure out where I am relative to the field.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am.
That's really interesting.
Because they're not like the tests are so skewed towards the same thing. I don't know where I'm going to fall.
Right.
I don't know. I might finish 5th. I might finish 30th.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And all of this complaining, it's probably, sure, you could say it does me no good, but it's like, yeah, no, I need to say this because
no, man, you do
we need to
say,
change.
yeah.
We need to change the direction that these things are going in.
Correct.
Otherwise, you're going to end up with something different than what you started with.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to not say anything and allow the thing that you love to be hijacked, counterfeted,
altered to a point.
diluted.
Yeah, diluted is a good word. If you change it to the point where you don't know what it looks like anymore.
I mean, there's this craze right now with high-end bourbons. Ben doesn't drink, if you don't know. I drink very rarely. I like a glass of bourbon every once in a while, whatever it is. But there's a very real thing happening right now. High-end bourbons, rare bourbons that are cheap are then being bought for $30, sold again for $100, sold again for $500. All right? Because of how rare they are.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine getting, all right, I get one of those bottles, I pour half of it out and put water in it. Is it a bottle of Blanton's still?
I'd say no, but I mean, you'd probably have someone say there's still bourbon in there.
Right.
And they'd be telling you the truth.
It's still a bottle. It still has Blanton's bourbon in it, all of the above. That's what we're getting right now. You're getting something with the CrossFit name. You're getting something with the CrossFit competition. You're getting something with the allure, the backing, the this, the that. However, it's half water. It's
but if
half
you've never
of something
tasted,
it's never
but
is.
if you've never tasted it before, how do you know?
Uh-oh. And that's what you're diagnosing, I think,
I'm sitting here
this.
saying that I've tasted this for 12 years. I've tasted it all, and this is something different.
It's garbage.
Yeah, this doesn't taste good.
Right. This is
like
bad.
You're missing something, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, pay attention, please.
Right.
What else can I say?
Not much, man.
Offer up my help.
Right. That's what you do.
It's like I'll offer my help.
That's the difference between like a tweet, like a political tweet, left versus right, this is good, this is bad, whatever, tweet, whatever, and a diagnosing. It's like you did what doctors do. You diagnose it, and then you offer a solution. You offer help.
I think that's the best way to offer criticism, though. Like if you offer it in the right, like if you offer criticism and then you offer, hey, here's something that I think would help or improve it.
Right.
What do you think?
Right.
There's a dialogue.
And I even think you could change the word criticism in the sense of if you can criticize. I think criticism is just a one-way thing. But if it's not a one-way thing, I don't think it's criticism anymore. I think it's evolved into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think diagnosis is the right thing. Here's a good diagnosis for you because there's something that could be done. And I know how to do it. And I'm also offering my help to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's so hard to do that today because it's like you just get attacked for being the critic. It's like, hey, just work. Why are you paying attention to this? Just work harder. This doesn't matter. You can't change anything.
And it's at that point, I mean, I think we're getting to a place where we're seeing that's not actually true.
Yeah.
Like growing up, our age, it was normal to say like, hey, you don't actually talk about politics, especially in like a Christian field. There's a very real push to like, hey, it's not like something you really talk about. Bro, what happened the last 5 years? It was like, no, you have to talk about silence is violence. Like legit, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Your silence is violence. I mean, I could talk about that for a year.
Just playing you.
Yeah. But for brevity's sake, do you have anything in closing?
No. I wrote the question here. Will you still get the fittest athletes to the games? I think Georgie covered that. It's a very easy cop-out to say, yeah, you still get the fittest athletes. You still get the fittest one or two at least that are going to go to the games. Like if the CrossFit champion is at the competition, they're probably going to finish enough to qualify, know. But it's a tough question.
It's a really
tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I feel like I said what I needed to say. So I guess I'll Sorry for the criticism, but kind of is what it is. You're in the position of the maker of the events.
Right. And there's a little difference too of like, if those 3 cast that program were sitting in here, it would be very easy to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
It would be so
easy.
easy to be charitable. It would be so easy to be kind. It'd be so easy to get you burritos. It would be so easy to be in relationship and friendly and helpful and collaborative and start. And you can just keep it going because it is this space. That's what this space is.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
so hopefully,
hopefully
that's going to happen. The prophetic says like, hey, like I think these guys are going to reach out, and I think this is going to turn around, and I think you are going to get that call, and I think HQ is going to be needs to be wiser, and I do think that you should. I do think you should actually reach out to a couple people, maybe a couple people that have their hands in the cookie jar a little bit, and say, hey. Like, here you go. Like I have your solution. And it's actually me, and that may sound vain, and it may, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't want this to come across as I think I know more, but it's like I feel like I'm just pointing out obvious things.
Correct.
You know, it's like
that's what
this
you
is
want
everywhere today.
That is what you want. Like you want the proper diagnosis, and you want the fix. It is what it is. It's why you go to a mechanic. It's why it's why when something's broken, you get the person that knows how to fix it to fix it.
Yeah, you don't just get a person that's a random person to fix it because of another reason other than they're good at fixing it.
Correct.
So why don't you open it up to the most possible people that are potentially good at it and take input from the people that are actually good at it? How do you discern that? That's like such a difficult task, but yeah.
Right, and that is a difficult task. It is hard getting the right people around you. It is hard to build the proper team. But that's a process. And you're in that process. You've been going through it for 2 or 3 years now. You've been moving in a specific direction. You should recognize that your squad is doing really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like we're pointing out really obvious things. So,
And they are obvious, and it's hard to deal with obvious things. But take courage. Take courage, CrossFit. Like, pick up the mantle, apologize, figure out what needs to be done.
don't apologize, just fix it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody needs an apology, but
Yeah.
that's always my please forgive me by grace of God be better
right.
is the, I mean, this is powerful. It is powerful.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
You gonna do this thing next weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it what I got.
Hootie-hoo.
So,